for the Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
All right. Good evening, everybody. It is Sunday night. It's 8 o'clock, and it is time for episode 338 of the Ron and Brian podcast. I am Ron. I am joined, as always, by the second most handsome man on this podcast, Brian. Brian, how the hell are you tonight?
Listen, it is, this is a fascinating time of the year. I know that we spend a lot of time talking football throughout each season, starting in September, October, November, followed by December. But I will say to you, I do not pay that much attention to football during the season. I am a playoff football fan. I could care less who's winning in playoffs. I could care less who's winning in week 5. It's just, it's all right, But I'm going to tell you something. Championship weekend, that Saturday, Sunday, I am planning like my entire Sunday around sitting there and watching 7 hours of uninterrupted football. I don't do that on an average Sunday, but this weekend it is a 3 o'clock game. It's a 6:30 game. And the other thing I'm going to say is the level of play, the competitiveness of these games are so it's peak. You are not seeing a team like the Jaguars or the Jets sitting there losing 33-7. This is even in lopsided games, you are watching the best of the best play. So I am peaking right now, Ron. I'm peaking.
Go. And it was a lopsided game in Philadelphia early today. The Eagles beating up on the Commanders 55-23. I think the over was 53.5, and the Eagles covered that all by themselves. Little dicey getting back here. We were over at the Jardies watching the football game again. Driving home, a little bit of a problem. Cars turned over, set on fire. People climbing telephone poles, light poles. The celebration has begun, Brian. The Philadelphia Eagles are going back to the Super Bowl. And as it stands right now, looking like they're going to face the Chiefs again. Chiefs are up 21-10 with just a couple minutes left in the first half. But the big thing about the Super Bowl is that is the bet that will determine this title belt right here. Who will it reside with after that Super Bowl bet? Ron hanging out with the moderator again. Yes, Billy, spending some time with the moderator. She has some questions, some content questions, some detail questions. She wants to make sure that she puts forth the best debate performance possible. And she understands preparation, not Brian's strong point. So when she has questions, she knows to come to the champ, and the champ can give her what she needs.
And what will she be doing in return for the champ who's providing her this special one-on-one attention? People are saying that she will be giving you the questions in advance. People are saying that she is going to be lofting softballs in your direction while hitting me with zingers that you have written. I mean, there are allegations of some terrible behavior that is to be expected next Sunday during our championship debate. I for one, I'm expecting the worst and hoping for the best.
All right. Well, all I can say is, Brian, you ignorant slut, don't besmirch the moderator. She is going to be calling it straight down the middle. And listen, you should say that to her face, because I know you are as frightened of her as I am. She will call it like she sees it.
Yeah, except that she's hanging out with you every weekend. There's no way for an impartial moderator who has socialized internationally with you.
I'm sorry. Are you upset at not receiving invitations when you yourself don't hand out invitations to your events? I get it.
It is. What events do I have? We don't have. I don't have events here. I'm not. Nobody's coming over. This is not party time. Why was my upper lip red?
I told you looked a little red when I hopped on.
Yeah, I shaved yesterday, but I can't believe I did that much
even
damage.
Your forehead's a little red. But in the meantime,
yeah, but that's because my lady was smacking it earlier today.
All right. We'll talk a little bit more about the debate later on. In the meantime, let's get things going.
Drink of the week. Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the week.
Pleasure.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
All right, Brian. What? I don't know what happened to my voice just then. What did you bring for this week's Drink of the Week?
This week, I bring you from Great Lakes Brewing Company, their Elliott Ness Amber Lager. First off, look at the care, the effort that they made for this can. Look at that. And there you have Mr. Elliott Ness, straight from Cleveland, Ohio. I had a Great Lakes beer probably about 2 weeks ago. They were such a fine brewery that they sent me over a 4-pack of this Amber Lager. Let me hold it up for you so you can see exactly what it look at this color, Ron.
It's a great beer. It's an absolutely great beer.
Listen, admittedly, it's a bit of a paradox to name this Amber Lager for history's most famous agent of Prohibition. However, this untouchably smooth-armed lager with lightly toasted malts and noble hops is what I'm going to be drinking this week. It's a deep amber red Vienna-style lager, fragrant malt aroma. My last couple of beers have been malt aromas, and I don't know why I keep going for them. The flavorful notes of rich caramelized malt, noble hops, it harmonizes on the palate, leading to a crisp, clean finish. Coming in at 6.1 ABV. More importantly, Beer Advocate gives it a score of 91. Here, let me just line up this
score. I mean, it almost looks red. That is how amber it almost is. It looks almost red. Chiefs red, I guess, because I know you're big on Kansas City tonight. It's good. I'm telling you, that's Great Lakes makes fantastic beers.
This
you know
is good beer.
I brought
there's no malty or hoppy
porter to the show before. It's just a solid brewery, knocking it out of the park.
I saw that Edmund Fitzgerald today. I almost picked one up, but I decided not to because just like the boat sinking, I was afraid the beer would sink also into my belly. Ron.
Yes, my friend.
Ron.
Yes, sir.
Ron.
Yes.
What are you drinking?
So this week I kind of went back to the well to one that I've drunk previously, but again, I thought it was appropriate given the Eagles advancing to the Super Bowl and the Chiefs looking potentially that way as well. That's right. We're going with the Kelce Brothers beer, the Garage beer. They're classic with the lime flavoring. Here's to bring in some beach vibes into the garage. Garage beer lime is light and refreshing with a hint of lime flavor to mix things up. The garage is open, and you're all welcome for a few. It is 4% alcohol, Brian, but only 95 calories, 3 grams of carbs. It allows me to watch my figure. And look at that nice clear. It's like a Corona with more flavors.
Yeah.
It's totally crushable.
I was just about to say that looks like it could be a crushable beer.
Very crushable. So drinking that down tonight in celebration of our Eagles victory. And that's about it. I got to get up early in the morning too. So it's always good to have a low alcohol beer when you have an early morning.
And why is it that you have to be up early tomorrow? Is it because you may have to earn your salary somehow and do some work?
No. The wife has to leave for a work conference, so she's got an early flight tomorrow. So I will be driving her to Philadelphia International.
Where is she off to?
She's off to Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Ay caramba! Do you have any fears that she is going to meet a muchacho? A guapo hombre who will steal her heart?
No, I think I'm all right.
Okay.
All right.
Excellent.
All right. Next up, it's Beef of the Week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what is bothering you this week, sir? Oh, I meant to hit the banner, not the sound effect. I'm all over the place
Ron,
here.
what is going on with you, buddy?
I don't know.
You're crashing. You're just crashing out, my friend. You know what else crashed out on me this earlier today?
What's that, Brian?
FanDuel. The FanDuel app. Listen, you got me hooked on online gambling, I would say just about a year ago. I remember it was leading up to the Super Bowl. You started telling me about how you were using, I believe it was the DraftKings app. And
I think so, yes.
And that was, you were doing a little blackjack at home. You were putting some money on some sporting events. And I said, you know what? I think I'm going to put some money down. I'm going to start doing this. Over time, I came to realize that the DraftKings app is blocked at work, but not FanDuel. So therefore, I downloaded the FanDuel app, which has been my primary online gaming app for over a year. As I said earlier, championship football weekend, the league championships, are the most exciting time for me, short of the Super Bowl.
Sure.
But I had several bets on the early game today between the Eagles and the Washington Commanders. And Ron, as you know me very well, I forgot a lot about which bets I had. So one of the things I like to do during the game is open up the app, see exactly what bets I had, what were the odds on it, how am I doing? Does it look like I'm going to win this bet? Not. And unfortunately, I received this error message that you're seeing. I'm going to read it for the people who are listening to the audio version of this podcast. It says, sorry, we're temporarily unavailable. Keep in mind, I got this 20 minutes after the first game started. We're sorry. FanDuel Sportsbook is currently unavailable, and our team is working overtime to get you back in the game ASAP. First off, the just stupid little fucking puns annoy me. All bets already placed are unaffected and will settle per our house rules. We apologize for the inconvenience and thank you for your patience. Thanks for your patience. I was not patient, not one of my strong suits. So no. I spent most of the first game steaming, fuming, because I couldn't tell if I was winning or losing my bets. That is my beef of the week. And, get your shit together.
Rightfully so.
How do you crap out during the league championship games?
It's like Netflix during the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight with the buffering.
Yes.
How are you not prepared to handle the volume of traffic? If you can't handle it during Championship Sunday, how are you going to handle it on Super Bowl Sunday?
Sure. Absolutely. However, did you see the promo that they're running for people who have not opened up a FanDuel app? Is that if you place a $5 wager, I think you have to win the $5 wager, they will give you $300 in bonus bets.
Yeah,
I only got $200 when I opened up that account.
It's criminal.
Criminal.
Disrespectful too.
Ron?
Yes, sir.
What's bothering you?
So the weather and my body's reaction to it. There's something that happens right around this time every winter where for some reason it seems like the cold, whatever it is, literally sucks all of the hydration out of my body. I get ridiculous dry skin. I don't know if you can see that. That's the crack that opened up on the side of my thumb. That's got to be a good 1-inch split right there. I
think you got to call that a crevasse.
It's
not even a crack. That's a crevasse.
Like if I could lift my legs up over my head, not like I could in college, you could see the dry patches on my legs. I've got salves, I've got lotions, I've got what have you. And it just doesn't do any good. It's very aggravating. And it gets worse as I get older.
My hands are just burned. Like there's just like red areas on them now. Yeah.
And it's not like, listen, as you have often mentioned, I work in a soft profession. I'm not out there working with my hands. I'm not handling a lot of papers. And here, people say hand cream. Oh, hand creams. Hold on. Let's see. We got this guy right here. We got this guy for the cracks. We got hold on. We got the finger cots that go on to protect the fingers when they're dry and split. And that's just what I have here in the home office.
Holy shit.
Castor oil, might have to try that. Ingesting the castor oil or putting it on? That's the question. Because I've heard people say you should drink castor oil and that helps with your hydration. So maybe I do both. Maybe I just inject it rectally and see what happens. It couldn't hurt.
Where on your legs are you dry? Out of curiosity.
It's from like the knees down. So like the calves, the shins, the ankles, like the upper half, not so much.
Sure.
Put it on. All right. So we'll put on the castor oil. Dominic's offering to oil me up. I like the
Listen, how do you turn down that offer?
I don't think you can. So I'll try it and we'll see what happens in the coming week. But man, I cannot wait. Like you can even see like how shiny that is because all my knuckles were dried and starting to split open. So that's just pure. What is this stuff I put on? Aquaphor.
Aquaphor. Yeah.
I think that was a Johanna recommendation the last time. She
told me to put on Aquaphor when I got my first tattoo.
It's supposed to cover a lot of things.
Do you think she's getting a paid sponsorship from Aquaphor that she just tells all of her friends to use it and she receives financial compensation for it?
I mean, I think it might be something that we need to look into. I mean, listen, we can't be the only people making money on this. So
yeah, seriously, why not? What else? Where else?
Let's get moving on to our stories of the week. Those of you who listen, who love us, you know that we have stories that we like to make sure that we don't miss. Brian, what is your story this week?
Ron, are you aware of of this guy Brian Johnson, this American entrepreneur?
I watched the documentary on him on Netflix, how he is going through literally spending millions of dollars trying to reverse his aging. And actually, I found this photo before you get to your story. This is a photo from online showing his change since 2018, since starting this medicine and healthcare. I think he gets his blood swapped out every other week. But anyway, yes, I'm very familiar with Brian Johnson.
What am I seeing between 2018 and 24? It looks like he's aged.
Right, but he thinks he's getting younger. But it seems like it's been a hard 6 years.
Yeah. He lost some weight. He lost some weight from 2018 to 2024. He clearly is in a better lit room because in 2018 he's literally looking translucent. Whereas in 24, he's got some softer hues to him. You mentioned earlier the Netflix documentary. It's called Don't Die, The Man Who Wants to Live Forever. He details all of the regimen that he's having. Isn't this the guy who's swapping blood with other people?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, he spends he spends a reported $2 million annually in attempts to hold on to his youth. Where he takes 91 supplements. He has a meticulous regimen of light therapy. Is he one of those guys that lays on his back, flips his legs up in the air, and does that taint light therapy that we talked about a couple of years ago?
They don't address that in the documentary, but
light therapy implies it. Anyway, he crossed the line this week. He's 47 years old. And he went online this week and posted screenshots. I'm assuming it was on Twitter because that's the web. Yep, one user on Twitter. So he posted a tweet. I refuse to call it X because I do not like Elon Musk. He posted screenshots showing data from an overnight erection tracking machine for both himself and his 19-year-old son. That is correct. This guy, Brian Johnson, not to be confused with the AC/DC singer. This guy is tracking his son's erections and posting them on social media. Now, Ron, I don't know what your thoughts are about this guy, but that seems to be a gigantically scumbag move to do. I mean, why on earth is he?
It feels inappropriate. I mean,
Sure.
again, the bigger question is, did he even ask his son if it was okay to share this information? Because that seems
I'm sure he did it.
a little bit creepy. Just to have an app in general that's going to track your
Sure.
what's called erection episodes.
Sure.
And how does one judge your average erection quality? I mean, 94 seems like a pretty good score, but how do you get there?
Is it too soon to make a your mom joke, Ron?
Still, yes, it is. I would say.
Yeah.
So.
I don't understand any of these numbers, the sleep efficiency, the quality of the erection. Obviously, he's trying to sit there and say, hey, for a 47-year-old man, I'm getting erections that are just as strong as a 19-year-old's. We all know 19 is peak male. Peak male, it goes downhill from there. So for all those 20-something males who are listening to the show, all 8 of you in Pakistan, I'm going to say your erections, this is good as it gets. Good as it gets.
You're done. You're done from here on out.
People oversharing on social media, it's a concern. Not everything needs to be shared on social media. What, for example, this guy, Brian Johnson, sharing the quality of his 19-year-old son's erections, not necessary. Hard pass. No, absolutely. Timeout. I'm done. Ron, what's your story of the week?
So my story of the week, it's I guess you could say it's social media influencing gone wrong, because a highly sought after drug kingpin was captured after officials tracked his wife's social media account and pinpointed his location during their European vacation. Luis Manuel Picado Drelba, he was arrested at a London airport in December after he was accused of shipping cocaine from Limon, Costa Rica to the U.S. He goes by the alias Shock and was wanted by the U.S. DEA for several months for his alleged involvement in drug trafficking. So apparently he went with his wife. They reportedly purchased $20,000 worth of plane tickets to fly his wife and family to Europe. He met her in Paris and had planned to ring in the new year with his family in England to document the vacation. His wife, Estefania McDonald Rodriguez, made several posts similar to this one in a now deleted Instagram account during her European travelers. One post captured the couple posing underneath the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and that kind of led to the downfall. DEA agents used the post of the couple in Paris to find the drug kingpin's location, and then they got an international arrest warrant and arrested him in Europe because they wanted to avoid arresting him in Costa Rica because Costa Rica does not have an extradition policy with the U.S. I would feel a little salty about this. If I'm a drug kingpin, I would maybe say to my significant other, you don't need that Instagram account.
Oh, I would tell her she can't have a phone. And I wouldn't have a phone either. Or I would have a colleague that I might hang out with who's allowed to have a phone. But there's absolutely no way. I'm certainly not going on the internet posting about my location. I mean, Jesus. You know what? I would be a little salty if I were him.
Yeah.
You know what he should do? He should rub some castor oil on that wound.
I mean, hopefully that'll help. Hopefully,
we'll see. Jesus,
Brian,
that's a bad way to go. Yes.
Question for you.
Ooh, yes.
What are you watching?
Okay. First off, I watched yesterday the movie Saturday Night. I think it's on Netflix. It is about the making of the first episode of Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
Lorne Michaels. It's got the whole original cast being put together and the stresses. It all takes place in one night, whatnot. I couldn't understand that that they sold the idea of let's make a movie about Saturday Night Live and have it all take place the day of the first show. Incredible cast if you look at it. I would not recommend it. It was, I would rather see a documentary made, and I believe there is one right now.
There is one on, I want to say Peacock. It's to celebrate the 50 years.
Yeah. Billy.
Yes. I was gonna say I did watch the 50 the 50 for 50, I think they're calling it.
Mhm.
And it was interesting. Like you go back and you look at some of these all-time SNL greats and their
Sure.
audition videos, and it's like it's brutal because when they've often said like no one laughs in these auditions.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. And it's like you almost feel bad for them because they're doing these full almost stand-up sets
Sure.
to a completely silent room.
Silent Room.
That
Yeah.
I would recommend you check out. That I did.
I will. Yeah, yeah. That I will look at. But the movie, I got to go with Janelle on this one. She says wasn't that great of a movie. It wasn't that great of a movie. Billy says it was great. I'm siding with Janelle. Also, but what has really captured my imagination and interest this past week is Severance on Apple TV. I hate to be somebody who's just like, standing with the masses talking about how brilliant something is, but I'm going to tell you something. Friday, the lady and I, we sat there, we ate dinner, and I literally, as soon as I, put my dish in the sink, ran right over and said, "All right, we're watching Severance." They're on season 2. This was episode 2, so you can get caught up real fast. Just fascinating. I'm loving it. I love the aesthetic of it, the vibe of it, the pace of it, the actors that were chosen. I am digging it. Have you watched any of it? I know we've talked about it. I keep forgetting.
I have not watched the second season. Really like season 1, so it is on my list too. Well, the only thing that frustrates me is again they drop an episode a week.
Yes.
So kind of waiting so we can knock out a few episodes in a row.
And I'm going to tell you something that I've started to do in the last couple of years, is. Oh, are you doing the white nationalist okay sign? Listen, Ron, not okay. I know we have a new president, but not is I make sure that I get on whatever TikTok of the show I'm watching. So when season 2 started, I did a search for Severance, and I liked 5 of the same video, like 5 videos, all about like people analyzing the episode 1. What did that do? I got on Severance Talk. So I have been, so after each episode, for that, over the weekend, Monday, people analyzing the show, people talking about like hidden things that obviously I'm not very observant. So I missed tons of fucking subtleties and, callbacks to something that happened in season 1. So I'm watching it in real time and watching the analysis that people are putting into it in social media. I think it's heightening my enjoyment of that show. That's what I'm watching, Ron. How about you?
So I need to get caught up on Severance. Yeah, there's not a lot of good shows on at the moment. Like everything, there seems to be a bit of a lull right now.
Yeah.
Waiting for some series to come back. Last night we attempted to watch Nosferatu, the 2024 remake.
Sure.
Too damn slow. We've kind of talked about this in the past where I think people feel because you're making like an artsy movie, it has to be long. Like this is 2 hours and 12 minutes, but they get there by like dragging out certain scenes. So we made it through about a half hour, and I looked over at my wife. I'm like, "Are you enjoying this?" She's like, "No, I hate this. I'm only watching it for you." And I'm like, "I'm not really enjoying this too much at all. Like maybe I need to be in a better mindset." So we turned that off. And then we were like, well, then let's watch something that we know is going to be trashy. So we went over to Netflix. We started watching Subservience, which is it's a movie. Megan Fox is in it. Megan Fox is an AI robot.
Read about it. Yep.
The husband buys the AI robot to help him take care of the house and the kids because his wife is sick, needs a heart transplant in the hospital. Of course, he fucks the AI robot.
Bangs her.
But again, got through like a half hour of it, and it was just like it's bad when you start watching a movie expecting it to be stupid and you're okay with that, and when it's even dumber than you hope. I will say this though, Megan Fox should play AI robots because her complete lack of emotion or acting ability really helped her nail that part.
The only thing I've ever seen her in was it This Is 40, the Judd Apatow movie?
Was she in that?
I think it was, she was in one of them because I remember she was working in a retail store with whomever who's Judd Apatow's wife in real life, played the female lead. And I'm thinking, I think it was This Is
Leslie
40.
Gore. We talking?
Leslie Gore. No, Leslie Mann. Leslie Mann. Leslie
Mann.
Gore was the CBS political consultant.
Sorry, my bad.
It's okay.
Now I got to look up This Is 40 to see if she was actually in it.
Yeah.
Oh, Megan Fox was Desi.
Yeah, there's a scene where Leslie Mann literally just plays with Megan Fox's breasts. Obviously, they're clothed. They're behind a. She's wearing a brassiere. I believe it was at minute 36, 28, 29 seconds into the movie. Right, I could be wrong on that one, but there's a scene where she's like, "Are these real? These are real, right?" And she's playing with them. That's the only thing I've seen. I know she was in one of the Transformers movies. I never saw any of the Transformers. She did
that movie, Jennifer's Body. That was
never saw it.
Supposed to be okay. The one thing I want to watch, I didn't get a chance to watch it, is the new Tom Green documentary. Kind of looking back, and it's a self documentary because I will tell you this. I never got Tom Green.
No, I found him very annoying.
Huge on MTV and then he did that movie, Freddie Got Fingered.
Yep.
And again, I think you and we like lowbrow humor. I mean, we're not, but it just, I don't know. It's just so, but I'd be curious to see. I mean, here's a man married Drew Barrymore, like that came out of left field. Then they got divorced. He had a bunch of health issues. So I'd be kind of curious. Apparently now he lives on a farm.
And he is exactly the kind of person that you and I would want to spend time with. Rejected the Hollywood lifestyle. Literally pulled out of the public eye and is just living this quiet life, enjoying himself. He's got enough money, whatnot. So I might actually be interested in seeing that. Hold on a second, champ. Is that a assignment for next week's episode?
Maybe so. Actually, next week we've got the debate. As we know, there's not usually a lot of, but maybe listen, we get it under our belts, so to speak, not under the title belt because only one of us has a title belt to get that under. But we get that documentary under our belt and we talk about it when we have some time. Up next, it's the story of an Australian cruise ship company who sent a parade of workers marching through their ship dressed up in costumes, Brian. And we'll pull up a photo here. Dressed up in pointy white hoods, looking like Ku Klux Klan outfits. This is P&O Cruises. They're cleaners walking by a pool on the ship's deck while dressed in these outfits. I believe they were supposed to be, what were they referring them to? Oh, they were supposed to be dressed as upside down snow cones during a Christmas-themed event on the Pacific Explorer voyage from Melbourne to Hobart back in December. But it's like, how does anyone look at these costumes, regardless of what the intent was, regardless of what they wanted them to look like, to look at that, and no one said, it's not a good look. The optics are bad.
How aware is Australia about the Ku Klux Klan? Like, obviously, in America, I would say this is inexcusable. Here, as Janelle just said, bad move. However, I wouldn't know. Like, I would not be aware of the Australian nationalist movement. Like, whatever's going on there, whatever group of former English descendants who live there, who hate the Aborigines. I don't know the name of that group. I don't know what they wear. They could be wearing Wu-Tang Clan shirts right now, and I would be accused of supporting them. So I
feel like, and again, I feel like that's something a lot of people should know about.
I will go with you on this, but I'm not 100% along for the ride. If this were in America, I would get it. If this were America, I would get it. But this isn't America. This is not America.
I will say this: if you are a business that does business internationally, like you have a variety of cultures coming and utilizing your business, I think you might just need to. And again, even as upside down snow cones, that doesn't even make any fucking sense.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that.
Like, how many Christmas snow cones have you had in your life?
I've never had a snow. I've never had a Christmas snow cone. I think I've had.
Right.
And keep in mind, I was never all that into snow cones to begin with.
Right.
I like.
But-
what was it? What was it? The water ice that you had in Philly?
Water ice, yes.
Water ice. I like the water ice.
Water ice is better than a snow cone. I'll give you that much.
Absolutely. I don't like that little chips and shit that I'm not a fan.
So you never used to run down to the corner store when you were a kid and you'd get the ice and you'd put all the different flavors on there that you wanted?
No. Never did. Wasn't my thing.
I guess you never really lived.
Low blow, Ron.
Let's see what else.
Low blow.
What else do we have this week? Oh, we have a story about the UBS Arena. We were there. That's got to be going on a couple of years now since we went to AEW Wrestling out on Long Island. To
Long
the UBS
Island
Arena. Long Island out in Belmont. Is that in Elmont?
Elmont.
Elmont.
They built the arena right next door to Belmont Park, the famed horse racing track. Which, by the way, last time I was there, the racetrack has been demolished.
Oh, yes. They're rebuilding it. They're renovating
They're rebuilding
it.
a racetrack? I thought they were building housing there. Really?
Well, they're going to redo Belmont Park because they moved the race up to Saratoga Springs, New York for a couple of years.
I thought they had gotten rid of that racetrack, and it was very sad for me to look out and see that track not there. I have great memories growing up as a kid going there with my dad. So I'd be shocked, but who's going to horse racing anymore? Why would they put any money into that?
Listen, it's still a thing because it's part of the Triple Crown, so it's still one of those races that And listen, I think if you and I had easier racetracks to get to, we'd probably be there gambling.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
But anyway.
Keep going.
Parking attendant at that UBS Arena was arrested for allegedly swindling hockey fans and concert goers into paying him personally. Tremaine Brown, age 26 of Queens, allegedly deceived patrons to direct their parking payments to his own Venmo account on 125 occasions dating back to April 17th. Depriving the arena of the $4,997 he received. I mean, I'm doing the math. I think he charged these people less than what the parking lot was going to charge him.
Which is why they sent money to his Venmo.
So apparently his plot was foiled on January 12th when his shift supervisor overheard him soliciting payment from someone parking and said, "Send it to my Venmo account," and gave his Venmo account ID. The supervisor spoke with the patron who claimed that Brown told her to pay the $30 to the Venmo account in order to, quote, save on fees. So apparently he was doing this for a while. He was arrested on January 14th and charged with third-degree grand larceny and falsifying business records in the first degree. See, that's the shit they do. Like, third-degree grand larceny probably doesn't carry a lot of weight, but it's got that first degree falsify. This is how they fuck people over. Is they just load up these charges. Anyway, sorry.
Because what they're doing is they hit you with like 8 different charges so that you plead down to and plead guilty on at least 1 or 2 of them, so they get you on something.
I feel like that's something you should get a pass on. Like, all right. Pay us back on the $5,000 and don't do it again.
How's he going to make back the $5,000? The only way he's going to do it is by committing a crime at the next parking lot.
Well, listen, this man to me seems like an entrepreneur. So
to me,
we get him partnered with like Mark Cuban or Damon John, and he figures out his Shark Tank idea. Like, this is a man who should be going places.
Sure. I remember when I was in high school, I had a buddy who's I had a family member that worked at Shea Stadium, and he told me that one of the scams that they would do was they would inventory. They would do inventory. They would count you in and count you out. And the difference between inventory in the beginning of the day and the end of the day was what you owed out of the cash register. The balance was tips. So what they would do is they'd start off a concession stand with, like, I'm making up numbers, 100 hot dogs. And if you ended with 25 hot dogs, you sold 75. Each one's $5. Boom, pay us. They would bring in their own hot dogs. And keep in mind, this was the 80s. So like they would buy the cheapest, shittiest hot dogs they could get their hands on, sneak them into the stadium. I imagine you can't do this anymore, but they would sneak them into the stadium, cook them, boil them up, or put them on the grill and, the little rotisserie, spin the hot dog for 5 hours. That was just pure cash in their pockets. The other thing they would do is they would run around the concourse collecting soda cups and beer cups so that they would just run it underwater and put it right back on top of the stack so that they would either reuse them or it just wouldn't count as a sold cup. I mean, the American spirit for scamming is so it's nice to see that it's still strong today.
Did I tell you about the Burger King I worked at out on Long Island when I went to Stony Brook for a semester?
Well, you told me about the mentally challenged woman that you hooked up with.
Stop it. So we had people that would work the cash register there, and they had memorized what certain items, let's say you went in and you ordered like a cheeseburger meal, in that time with tax, it came to $5.30. So they would take small ticket items like sodas, burgers, whatever. And so they already knew what the total was. So they wouldn't ring it in. And again, most people were paying cash back then. This was the early 90s or late 80s. And so they'd be like, oh, that's $5.30. They'd take the money. They'd not ring it in, just open the cash drawer. And then at the end of the day, when they counted up their drawer before they left, they would just take out the overage and say, "Oh, my cash drawer was perfect." So people were making $50 to $100 extra a shift.
Not bad. Yeah. Listen, I mean that's a crime. It's theft and fraud. And what was the last one? Falsifying business records.
And it was falsifying business records.
That's
clearly
where they get you. Those are the charges where they get you on, and then you have to plead guilty. It's a shame. Anyway, kudos to this guy. I say kudos. The American spirit for scamming. And let's face it, after all of the things that I have said over the past 337 episodes, for me to not sit here for me not to sit here and embrace somebody sticking it to big corporate parking. You know how much parking is at UBS Arena? Billy, quick, put in a number. I'm going to say it's like $40, $50 for an Iron Maiden concert. The amount of money that they charge to park at an arena, that's the crime. Stealing from them is simply being your own Robin Hood. Absolutely.
Listen, pick your poison, rich people. We can swindle your cash or we can shoot you in the back outside of a Hilton. It's your choice.
By the way, I went and took photos at the Hilton where Luigi shot the United Healthcare CEO.
I was so damn proud of you.
It was so cold. It probably was this past week we've had the what is it? The polar vortex.
The polar vortex. We were deep in it.
I'm going to say it was probably about somewhere between 12 and 15 degrees. I went to a work event for a student recruiting for a local industry-related college program. I got out of there. It was about 8:15, 8:45, windy. It was cold. And what did I do? I was like, I'm on 55th Street in Midtown. What is on 54th? The Hilton. I went over there, snapped some photos. And by the way, kudos to your wife. I give the wife kudos because I snapped a photo, and while I was still standing there, I sent the photo to the two of you, and I was like, does this look familiar to you? And she just texted back, CEO shooting. And I was like, yes, Mrs. Ron for
She's
the
on
win.
top of things.
I was very pleased. I was very pleased. And you know what's all really interesting is you can tell a lot about people by how they responded to me sending a photo of the Hilton shooting site, because I got a couple responses that were, why would you go there? Is this a joke? And I got one from what I consider a very close friend who sat there and said, you have issues, man. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, how are you not amazed and impressed that this was that I visited the actual location of where Luigi shot him? And by the way,
I don't know how anybody that knows you, I don't know how anybody that knows you well, they would just be like, oh, of course Brian's sending me these photos.
I'm surprised it took him so long to go there.
Yeah, I know, right?
You'd think I'd be there the day after. But the alley that took him right between 6th and 7th up to Central Park, I literally saw him like, that's where he went. He literally went right up there on his bike.
Well, next up in crime, Brian, a Wisconsin man was arrested and charged with arson this week for allegedly setting a local strip club on fire, later telling police he torched the place because they, quote, went against his beliefs. Colton Jansen, age 25, was nabbed by police on Tuesday after he was caught on surveillance footage using a propane torch to light a tissue box on fire after breaking into Shooter's Showgirls in the town of Elk Mound. The alleged arsonist allegedly told investigators that he wasn't a fan of, quote, those clubs, and found them disgusting. No word as to if there was $900 worth of damages to the strip club. I'm sorry, was that low-hanging fruit right there?
Yeah. Am I ever going to live that story down?
No, probably not.
Fuck.
What I also love is the writing of the New York Post, where they say that, fire departments responded to the jiggle joint around 5 a.m. on January 18th.
That's great. That's great. The jiggle joint.
The jiggle joint.
Is it not surprising that they were not already there on site when the fire broke out?
So he has been charged with arson, burglary, and possession of burglarious tools.
Burglarious.
Burglarious.
SAT prep right here on the Ron and Brian podcast. SAT prep. Gotta love it.
That break-in wasn't just funny, it was burglarious.
Oh, that's terrible.
That was a bad one.
That
was a bad one. I can't defend my behavior.
No, you can't. You better not be able to.
You loved this story about the daycare worker and the 4-year-old. And this isn't going anywhere bad. They just tried to freeze this 4-year-old to death. Talk to us about this daycare worker out in Illinois, Brian.
Okay, listen, people. Ron, you're not a parent. I'm not a parent, so we don't actually understand the love that a parent has for their child. It doesn't make sense to me. However, I do accept that society states that when you are bringing your child to a daycare center or whatnot, you are putting your trust that your child's welfare is going to be placed in good hands, that you are going to somehow know you can trust that this child is going to be protected and kept safe. Not always the case. An Illinois daycare worker was busted on child endangerment charges for allegedly leaving a 4-year-old boy in her care in a freezing alley before planting him in a trash can. Planting him like he's like some kind of tree or a bush. Anna Petro, 58, was arrested for placing the toddler in a corridor outside the Learning Lab preschool and childcare. That's in Homewood. So if you're in Homewood, Illinois, do not bring your children there. He was outside bad idea. He was outside for about 20 seconds when he was refusing to take a nap. So Anna takes this 4-year-old, throws him out into a freezing. By the way, it's 19 degrees the afternoon that this took place. Makes him stand outside for 20 seconds. The alleged teacher was captured on video surveillance, bringing the child back into the facility and putting him inside an empty garbage can as a form of punishment in front of other kids and teachers. Apparently, the boy's parents were not appreciative of this, and they called police after they picked up their kid to find out how their kid's able. So, this is just something you have to worry about as a parent when you bring your child to daycare. That the daycare teacher is going to sit there and be like, you know what? Get the fuck outside. stand outside in that alley. It's 19 degrees out.
But
No
Brian, don't you
jacket.
think it's the responsibility of daycares and to schools to toughen up kids in this new America? Like kids are, you know, they're given safe spaces all over the place. They're not toughened up at all. Maybe that's just what this was. Maybe this was a life lesson.
Hard to say. Hard to say. Anyway, but she's going to jail. She caught on video. There's this was almost my story of the week.
All right. Speaking of crimes against children, you know it, you love it. It's a segment we have called "But the Drag Queens Are the Problem," where we try and support the right in their quest to find drag queens that are doing bad things to children. So we've got a few stories this week, Brian. Maybe this will be the week that we find a drag queen being the problem. This first story out in the Bronx. A lot of New York stories turning up. Is this this is not a drag queen. This is a teacher. A teacher by the name of Dana Barshdorf, age 44. He has been accused of exposing himself to children with autism at a school in the Bronx. It happened at PS 723 on Webster Avenue this past Tuesday morning. He allegedly pulled down his pants and exposed himself in front of 6 students between the ages of 9 and 11. He is charged with endangering the welfare of a child, harassment, and exposure of a person. He is due back in court on February 14th. Oh, it's not going to be a good Valentine's Day for him.
Maybe it is going to be a good Valentine's Day. Maybe he'll take out his penis and expose himself in court.
Released without bail. These are the things that shock me. Like, if you're exposing yourself to children, I feel like there should be a higher bar as to whether you should be out walking the streets or not.
Ron, if you go back 4+ years, that was something that you could depend on, was the fact that we were living under an age of law and order. Trump has only been back in the White House for 1 week. The level of bail reform that took place that rotted our jail system, our punishments meted out for those charged with crimes has been destroyed. Nowadays, you get arrested, we'll just send you home for the day. It's important that you get a good night's sleep in your own bed than the fact that you stay in jail while you await your jury trial. That's what it's been. You know, it's one of the reasons why I had to move out of New York City was all the bail reform.
Understood.
Maybe.
Well, let's move on to the next story. Maybe we'll find the drag queen there. And nope, this is Wisconsin, Brian. This is a teacher at a Christian elementary school in Wisconsin. This is Daniel Rick, age 36. He is also the athletic director at Christ Alone Lutheran School in Thiensville. He is apparently known for choosing a new quote-unquote favorite boy each year. He is facing now child sex charges after pulling down a 10-year-old student's pants and comparing himself to Jesus as a defense for his creepy behavior. He was reported on November 15th to police by Child Services, who alleged that he had inappropriate contact with a boy student. Again, they alleged that he would pick a favorite male student each year who he would have sit on his lap, where he would touch their stomachs, rub their backs, and kiss them, according to prosecutors. Rick told one such student that he had to stop, fearing he could lose his job or be thrown in jail. So this has been an ongoing thing. It's not like he just did this once, apparently.
He looks guilty, by the way.
So when parents approached him to confront him about this, he tried to justify the behavior, comparing himself to Jesus Christ. He allegedly said, "I compare it to the story in the Bible and Jesus saying, 'Let the little children come to me.'" During an interview with investigators, he, quote, claimed that he did not initiate the physical contact and that it was always the students who started it. Damn you, you 9 to 11-year-old boys, seducing men in their 30s.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Rick allowed police to search his phone and confess to viewing pornography involving younger males. He has resigned from teaching. He has been arrested and charged with child enticement, exposed genitals, public area. This is a confusing charge here. It's a lot of hyphens and everything. But regardless, he's being held in jail on a $100,000 cash bond. That is how you do it. If convicted, he could face up to 28 years in prison. Doesn't seem like enough.
No, I would agree with that. That does not seem like enough. Hopefully Trump gets involved and we can tackle this guy for a long time in prison. I'm kidding about Trump.
Final story in this section. Again, let's see if it is a drag queen. No, it is back in your neck of the woods, Brian. It is Tottenville High School in Staten Island. It is a teacher there, a teacher by the name of Robert Torres. He apparently masturbated while on camera in a Google Meet, shocking a fellow educator who witnessed it. A video shows Torres, age 48, with his pants down, conducting masturbatory activity, according to a just released report by the city school's investigators. This was November of 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. He was remotely co-teaching a class with about 15 students. After the teens were dismissed, the two teachers were required to stay online for another 30 minutes in case any students logged back in with questions. One teacher then noticed that Torres, quote, had his pants down and appeared to be masturbating. The fellow teacher was shocked and instinctively recorded the incident on his cell phones. The video was given to police, but the NYPD said, no students witnessed the act. He's just jerking off on video. No criminal charges were filed.
Been there, done that.
Gross. So, but he still apparently is employed as a teacher, still has his teaching license. But yeah, that's just a wee bit disturbing.
Very disturbing and gross.
Let's see. What else do we have? Brian, pick another story. We've got a few left here. What would you like to talk about for our
Staten Island is such a nasty place. We've got a couple Pirates stories. Let's do some sports.
You know, we don't talk enough sports. I mean, we've talked some NFL, but we haven't talked baseball. Pittsburgh Pirates, you know, would you say it's a horribly run franchise, Brian?
One of the worst baseball franchises in terms of management. They have, I believe they were good in 1979. I think they won the World Series, or they were in the World Series.
Didn't Willie Stargell play for them? Wasn't he like a
Willie Stargell,
for them?
Dave Parker, I remember.
Yep.
Kent Tekulve, I believe Rick Rhoden was on that team. Anyone else? I don't remember. But they've been terrible for almost 50 years. They finally signed a pitcher. It's a number one draft. I think he made it through the minors in less than a season, winning the Cy Young last year. Didn't even start with the team.
How do you say his last name? Skeens?
Yes.
Skeens,
yes.
Better known for dating Livy Dunn, but also a great pitcher. All right, Billy letting us know they won the NL East in '92. I think that was Andrew McCutchen's rookie season.
Andy Van Slyke, maybe?
Oh, good callback, my friend. Good callback. So they apparently held their fan fest this weekend, and they had a Q&A with ownership, which before the first questions was even asked, the fans in attendance chanted "Sell the team," booed the owners as they tried to give answers. They were selling expired sodas to people attending this. They misspelled. Speaking of Andrew McCutchen, he did a meet and greet and was signing photos. They misspelled his name on the name card in front of him. I mean, just a hot mess. Again, the fans get very upset because the Pirates are almost a farm team for the teams
rest of the league.
the rest of the league. Like, we're all looking forward to when Paul Skeens will be wearing pinstripes in 3 to 5 seasons.
However, I have to say, it's almost with the way the offseason has gone, he's just as likely to go wear Dodger blue because they're just signing everybody.
I mean, and he'll get 50 years of deferred salary, but it's passive income, Brian. And we were talking about this earlier. As much as the work is important, passive income is important as well, Brian.
Ooh, teach me, financial guru.
So
it's just So I was going to say, it is just it has to be so frustrating to be a fan of a team where management has really rubbed in your face that they have very little interest in winning. And what is a priority of them is to spend as little as possible so that they can collect revenue sharing from those teams that are performing much better financially. Like, the goal of the Pirates team is to collect as much of that revenue sharing. It's not about fielding a competitive team. It's not about trying to win the division. It's about spending as little as possible.
Right. And not every market is going to be New York or LA where you're going to make a lot of money, but Pittsburgh is still a good market. Like, the Steelers, very competitive.
Correct.
The Penguins, very competitive. Year after year. Pirates, again, 30 years since they've sniffed the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Paul Skeens, this kid in California, there was one of these special baseball cards, a 1-of-1. Paul Skeens rookie card. Here's a photo of it up on the screen. So this kid in California supposedly pulled this card, who, if Skeens continues to have the career that people think he have, this thing could be worth a lot of money in the future. So the Pirates wanted to get the card back. They wanted to have it for PNC Park to share with all of the Pirates fans. So they offered this kid 2 Pirates season tickets behind home plate for the next 30 years. A softball game for 30 people at PNC Park with coaching from Pirates alumni, a spring training experience, quote, like no other, including a private tour, a meet and greet with Skeens, 2 autographed jerseys from the rookie, and a batting practice session. And Skeens' girlfriend, Livy Dunn, said, the person who finds the card can sit with me at a Pirates game in my suite. And the kid said no.
Yeah, the kid said no. How amazing that the kid said no.
I mean, and again, we were talking about this before the podcast. Like, all right, he's in California. The odds of him going to a Pittsburgh game versus a full season,
0.
But if you had tickets for the next 30 years behind home plate that you could just put online and sell, you have to imagine there's your passive income, Brian. That's where your money is making money. But just funny that the guy was like, I'd rather not go see a Pittsburgh game.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, and I'm going to say the truly heartbreaking part about it is just, it is one of the most beautiful stadiums I've ever been in. Like, it is an incredible stadium. The view when you're sitting there looking out past the field to see downtown Pittsburgh, it's just a beautiful stadium to catch a game in, and way better than the old Three River Stadium that used to exist out there. People think I don't remember. I remember. Ron, what time of the month is it?
So it's the last Sunday of the month. So that means not only do we have our After Dark at 9:30 tonight for our Patreon subscribers, but it is time for our monthly pajama party. This is where we welcome on all of our Patreon subscribers to join us live on the show, to chat, to have a good time. Tonight, we also have Can You Beat Ron? Brian, I assume you have put together another 10-question test of some theme.
I have.
No one knows the theme.
I have. Nobody knows.
I have to defend the honor of the podcast. If somebody is able to beat Ron, they get $25 to donate to a charity of their choice.
And last time we played the game 2 months ago, you did win. If you
Did I?
remember
I thought I
correctly.
lost.
Yes. No, I
All
think
right.
you won last time. I could be wrong. But I thought you won 2 months ago. I don't
I'm
remember
not.
what we
I
were
don't
playing
remember.
with.
So anyway, if you are not a Patreon subscriber, go to.
Oh no, Janelle won last month. You are
I was gonna
absolutely
say,
correct.
well, she beat
You're absolutely
you,
correct.
and I think she beat me as well.
Janelle's been
she's on
on
a streak.
a roll. Yeah, Janelle's been on a roll.
But if you want to join the After Dark to see what the fuss is all about, you go to ronandbrianpodcast.com. You go into the upper right-hand corner. You click Become a Patron, and you join at the $10 a month level or higher, and we will get you the link to join us live tonight on After Dark.
Yes.
And we're
good.
talk
you got to do it, people. If you're not on if you're not a member of our Patreon, I cannot understand what are you waiting for?
Right. And we'll probably talk a little more NFL because right now, Brian, I don't know if you're following this game. The Bills are up 22-21 at the start of the fourth quarter.
Really?
And they just converted a 4th and 1 at midfield and have a fresh set of downs. So that Bills game, Bills Chiefs, is going to come down to the wire, seeing who can go into the Super Bowl against the Eagles. Now, another thing, not to harp on the NFL, why is the Empire State Building, why do they light up in the Eagles colors tonight?
Listen, we understand solidarity with Philadelphia. I don't understand. You know what? It's possible later tonight they will change the colors for whoever wins the late game.
How much must it? I mean, again, it must kill Giants fans in general.
Has to
watch Barkley doing what he's been doing. They had a statistic. So Barkley had what he had in his career with the Giants. He had 620-yard rushing games.
Yeah.
This past season, he had 620 rushing yard games with the Eagles.
Jesus. Yeah. Listen, it's like he's a different player this year.
Yeah. So we'll talk that. We'll talk, it's the sexy stories. It's the stories that aren't always good to be out on the free airwaves for the kids out there. We have concern for the kids. Christian teachers in Staten Island, they may not have that. Catholic teachers in Wisconsin, they may not have that concern for children. But Ron and Brian are here for the children.
We do. It's what we do. That's what we're here for.
By the
way, I'd like to congratulate us. We went our first episode of the Trump administration without featuring any articles about him, without any coverage of him. We'll mention it at some point, but not this week. Point. 1 week down, people. We survived it.
Brian, what is next Sunday night? What is important about that?
It is our championship debate with the highly partial moderator, Marty Jardy, who is come here and will figure out a way to spend 1 hour making Ron look good. This is an opportunity for Ron to fluff his ego while he is asked easy questions by the moderator, where I will be sitting here on this side of the screen, literally being ripped apart, not only by the moderator, but by Ron himself, as I will be internationally embarrassed as Ron fluffs whatever opportunity he has to look better.
Well, all I can say is I look forward to our second annual championship debate. And this is my promise to you at home and to you, Brian. At the end of the debate next Sunday night, I will be announcing my pick for the Super Bowl and for who will hold the 6 pounds of gold for the upcoming year.
Do you think we're insane? There's no way you're betting against the Eagles.
I might have to. I picked the Eagles 2 years ago, and that was
then you
what
have to flee the
country.
Fled the country.
I will say this: Eagles put up 55 points against a decent Commanders team. I gotta like their chances. And again, Saquon Barkley gives them a running attack that they did not have before. I look forward to having this belt around my waist for another year.
There you go. Let's do it.
All right. Anything else before we wrap up and get ready for After Dark, Brian?
This has been a pleasure as always.
It has been. Great job to you, my friend. Thank you all for joining us After Dark, folks. We will see you in about 20 minutes. Everybody else, we will see you next Sunday night for the debate.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com.